God said finally, not because he was tired, not because he was waiting on time, but because he was waiting on alignment. He was waiting on obedience. He was waiting on the moment when heaven and earth would agree on one name, one spirit, one vessel, one heart that refused to quit. And that name is yours. You are not here by accident. You are not listening to this by coincidence. You are not breathing this air in this season randomly. You are here because you were built for something no one before you could carry. You were shaped for a weight that crushed others. You were trained in silence. You were refined in isolation. You were strengthened in obscurity. While others were being celebrated, you were being prepared. While others were being seen, you were being tested. While others were being applauded, you were being forged. You don't understand yet how rare your assignment is. You don't understand yet how impossible your task truly was. You don't understand how many before you tried and failed. How many almost made it. How many got close but couldn't finish. How many had the calling but not the character. How many had the gift but not the discipline. How many had the anointing but not the endurance. You were the first because you stayed when it hurt. You were the first because you obeyed when it cost you. You were the first because you chose faith when fear made more sense. You were the first because you chose obedience when rebellion felt easier. You were the first because you didn't need applause to stay consistent. You were the first because you didn't need recognition to remain loyal. You were the first because you kept walking even when you couldn't see the road. There were nights you wanted to quit. There were seasons you wanted to disappear. There were moments you questioned your own sanity. There were times you felt forgotten, overlooked, ignored, bypassed, delayed, dismissed. You felt like nothing was moving. You felt like heaven was silent. You felt like your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling. You felt like your tears were wasted. You felt like your sacrifices were invisible. But the truth is, every tear was counted. Every prayer was recorded. Every step was tracked. Every sacrifice was weighed. Every moment of obedience was documented. Nothing was lost. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was ignored. Heaven saw what people missed. God noticed what others overlooked. The spirit world marked you when the natural world doubted you. You weren't built for comfort. You were built for completion. You weren't designed for ease. You were designed for endurance. You weren't chosen for popularity. You were chosen for purpose. You weren't created to blend in. You were created to break patterns. You were created to end cycles. You were created to stop generational curses. You were created to close doors that had been open for centuries. You were created to finish assignments that had been abandoned for generations. You were created to carry what others dropped. You were created to restore what others destroyed. You were created to rebuild what others gave up on. That's why your life feels heavier. That's why your journey feels harder. That's why your battles feel stronger. That's why your attacks feel relentless. That's why your tests feel constant. That's why your pressure feels extreme. That's why your growth feels painful. That's why your transformation feels uncomfortable. Because the weight of your assignment is greater than your comfort. The size of your calling is bigger than your feelings. The magnitude of your purpose is larger than your emotions. You weren't supposed to have a normal life. You were supposed to have a meaningful one. There were moments when God had to isolate you, not to punish you, but to protect you, not to break you, but to build why. Oh, not to wound you, but to prepare you. Because everyone can't go where you're going. Everyone can't carry what you're carrying. Everyone can't handle the glory that's coming. Everyone can't survive the level you're being elevated to. Some people would have slowed you down. Some people would have corrupted your focus. Some people would have contaminated your spirit. Some people would have distracted your assignment. So God removed them. Not because they were evil, but because they were incompatible with your destiny. You had to learn how to walk alone. You had to learn how to trust God without validation. You had to learn how to move without approval. You had to learn how to believe without evidence. You had to learn how to obey without explanation. You had to learn how to stay faithful without rewards. You had to learn how to serve without spotlight. You had to learn how to endure without applause. That's why you're different now. That's why your mindset changed. That's why your tolerance shifted. That's why your standards rose. That's why your boundaries strengthened. That's why your vision sharpened. That's why your spirit matured. The task was impossible because it required consistency in a world addicted to quitting. The task was impossible because it required discipline in a culture addicted to comfort. The task was impossible because it required purity in a system built on corruption. The task was impossible because it required integrity in environments that reward compromise. The task was impossible because it required faith in seasons of silence. The task was impossible because it required patience in a generation of instant gratification. The task was impossible because it required obedience when disobedience was normalized. And yet, you did it, step by step, tear by tear, prayer by prayer, fall by fall, rise by rise, failure by failure, lesson by lesson, season by season. You didn't do it perfectly, but you did it faithfully. You didn't do it flawlessly, but you did it sincerely. You didn't do it without fear, but you did it with courage. You didn't do it without pain, but you did it with perseverance. You didn't do it without doubt, but you did it with belief. You didn't do it without weakness, but you did it with dependence on God. God said finally, because the process is complete. The training is complete, the pruning is complete, the refining is complete, the shaping is complete, the breaking is complete, the building is complete, the preparation is complete, the foundation is complete, the inner work is complete, the mindset is complete, the spiritual alignment is complete, the character development is complete, the discipline formation is complete, the endurance capacity is complete. This is not your ending. This is your transition. This is not your conclusion. This is your elevation. This is not your finish line. This is your launch point. This is not your reward. This is your responsibility. This is not your comfort season. This your impact season. This is not your resting place. This is your assignment field. This is not your crown moment. This is your service moment. This is not your applause season. This is your purpose season. Now doors are responding to your presence. Systems are shifting around your alignment. People are being positioned in your path. Resources are being rerouted to your hands. Opportunities are being rearranged for your access. Platforms are being prepared for your voice. Territories are being opened for your influence. Assignments are being activated in your spirit. Mantles are being released in your life. Authority is being activated in your words. Power is being released in your obedience. And you can feel it. You feel the shift. You feel the weight. You feel the responsibility. You feel the urgency. You feel the assignment. You feel the activation. You feel the pressure. You feel the calling. You feel the pull. You feel the alignment. You feel the change in your spirit. You feel the separation in your desires. You feel the detachment from old patterns. You feel the release from old cycles. You feel the break from old mindsets. You feel the freedom from old identities. You are not who you used to be. You can't think like you used to think. You can't move like you used to move. You can't tolerate what you used to tolerate. You can't accept what you used to accept. You can't stay where you used to stay. You can't settle where you used to settle. You can't shrink like you used to shrink. You can't hide like you used to hide. You can't delay like you used to delay, because now you carry something. You carry authority. You carry assignment. You carry responsibility. You carry impact. You carry purpose. You carry destiny. You carry legacy. You carry transformation. You carry influence. You carry power. You carry healing. You carry restoration. You carry change. And the world doesn't know yet. The systems don't recognize it yet. The rooms don't understand it. Why? The people don't perceive it yet. The environments don't honor it yet. But the spirit realm already does. Heaven already does. God already does. The assignment already does. The future already does. You were not chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you were willing. You were not chosen because you were flawless. You were chosen because you were faithful. You were not chosen because you were fearless. You were chosen because you were obedient. You were not chosen because you were strong. You were chosen because you were submitted. You were not chosen because you were qualified. You were chosen because you were aligned. This is why the attacks intensified. This is why the resistance increased. This is why the warfare escalated. This is why the pressure multiplied. This is why the tests repeated. This is why the trials deepened. This is why the storms strengthened. This is why the battles expanded. Because what you're carrying now threatens systems. It threatens cycles. It threatens patterns. It threatens darkness. It threatens stagnation. It threatens control. It threatens corruption. It threatens limitation. It threatens bondage. You are not small. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not abandoned. You are not delayed. You are not disqualified. You are not disempowered. You are not disconnected. You are activated. And everything in your life up to this point was training. The heartbreaks were training, the betrayals were training, the losses were training, the delays were training, the setbacks were training, the failures were training, the waiting was training, the silence was training, the loneliness was training, the confusion was training, the uncertainty was training. Now the season has shifted, the atmosphere has changed, the assignment has activated, the mantle has been released, the doors have aligned, the path has opened, the resistance has shifted, the pressure has reposed. The burden has transformed. The struggle has evolved. The suffering has produced strength. The pain has produced power. The waiting has produced wisdom. You didn't just survive the process. You mastered it. You didn't just endure the storm. You learned to walk through it. You didn't just face the darkness. You learned to see in it. You didn't just carry the weight. You became strong enough to hold it. And now God says, finally, not because he rushed you, but because you're ready. Not because he delayed you, but because he prepared you. Not because he tested you, but because he trusted you. Not because he broke you, but because he built you. Not because he stripped you, but because he strengthened you. Not because he isolated you, but because he refined you. This is where obedience turns into authority. This is where faith turns into manifestation. This is where preparation turns into positioning. This is where training turns into assignment. This is where patience turns into power. This is where endurance turns into elevation. This is where silence turns into influence. This is where humility turns into leadership. This is where discipline turns into dominion. And you're stepping into it with a new spirit, a new mind, a new vision, a new strength, a new authority, a new identity, a new clarity, a new fire, a new hunger, a new focus, a new courage, a new obedience, a new alignment, a new boldness, a new anointing, a new level, a new assignment, a new dimension, a new responsibility, a new impact, a new mantle, a new authority, a new power, a new calling, a new season, a new beginning that doesn't feel like a beginning because it feels like continuation, because it feels like flow, because it feels like alignment, because it feels like destiny unfolding, because it feels like purpose activating, because it feels like heaven responding, because it feels like everything you went through is finally making sense, because it feels like every tear had a reason. Every delay had a purpose. Every loss had a lesson. Every trial had a transformation. Every storm had a strengthening. Every season had a shaping. Every waiting period had a building. Every silent moment had a preparation. Every lonely night had a development. Every confusing moment had a formation. Every painful experience had a production. Every broken place had a reconstruction. Every setback had a setup. Every failure had a foundation. Every fall had a future. Every collapse had a calling. Every wound had a wisdom. Every scar had a story. Every burden had a blessing. Every pressure had a purpose. Every fire had a refinement. Every battle had a breakthrough. Every valley had a vision. Every wilderness had a word. Every desert had a destiny. Every prison had a promotion. Every pit had a platform. Every cross had a crown. Every sacrifice had a seed. Every seed had a harvest. Every harvest had a multiplication. Every multiplication had a legacy. Every legacy had a generation. Every gene ration had a continuation. Every continuation had an expansion. Every expansion had a responsibility. Every responsibility had a weight. Every weight had a strength. Every strength had a discipline. Every discipline had a structure. Every structure had a stability. Every stability had a longevity. Every longevity had an inheritance. Every inheritance had a future. Every future had a purpose. And every purpose had a calling that is now breathing in your spirit, awakening in your mind, activating in your soul, moving in your steps, speaking in your words, aligning in your decisions, guiding in your direction, strengthening in your weakness, and rising in your obedience as you continue walking forward into what has already been written, already prepared, already assigned, already aligned, already ordained, already released, already activated, already authorized, already established, already secured, already guaranteed, already waiting for you to step fully into the next level of what God has been building inside you. Because this moment is not about arrival. It's about alignment sustaining itself in motion. It's about learning how to walk with what you now carry without dropping it, without diluting it, without rushing it, without abusing it, without shrinking it, without hiding it, without explaining. To people who are never meant to understand it, what God placed on you is not fragile, but it is sacred. And sacred things are handled with reverence, not recklessness. That's why this next stretch of your life will require a different pace, a deeper awareness, a sharper discernment, and a stronger inner stillness than you've ever needed before. You will notice that some things no longer excite you the way they used to. Some conversations will feel empty. Some goals will feel too small. Some environments will feel loud but hollow. Some relationships will feel familiar but misaligned. This is not arrogance. This is elevation awareness. This is your spirit rejecting what your future can no longer afford. This is not you becoming distant. This is you becoming precise. Precision is required when power increases. Focus is required when influence expands. Discipline is required when responsibility multiplies. You're going to feel moments where you're tempted to explain yourself. Resist that urge. Explanation drains energy meant for execution. You're going to feel moments where you're tempted to prove yourself. Resist that urge. Proof is unnecessary when alignment is visible. You're going to feel moments where you're tempted to go back and reconnect with old versions of yourself for comfort. Resist that urge. Comfort can become a cage when you've outgrown the room. You didn't come this far to relive old seasons. You came this far to complete what others couldn't. And understand this clearly. Completion doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks quiet. Sometimes it looks steady. Sometimes it looks boring to people addicted to chaos. Sometimes it looks uneventful to people addicted to noise. Sometimes it looks slow to people addicted to speed. But heaven values sustainability more than spectacle. God values longevity more than hype. What you're stepping into is built to last, not built to trend. You're going to start seeing results that feel disproportionate to your effort. That's not luck. That's alignment compounding. You're going to notice doors opening without force. That's not coincidence. That's authority speaking before you arrive. You're going to notice people responding differently to you. That's not intimidation. That's recognition in the spirit before familiarity in the flesh. You're going to notice clarity replacing confusion. That's not because life got easier. It's because you got clearer. But don't be fooled. New levels still come with resistance. The resistance just changes form. It becomes more subtle, more strategic, more psychological, more internal. The battle will no longer be about whether you're capable. It will be about whether you're consistent. It will no longer be about whether you believe. It will be about whether you remain grounded. It will no longer be about whether you obey. It will be about whether you obey when no one is watching again. You will be tested with comfort now. You will be tested with ease. You will be tested with opportunity. You will be tested with access. You will be tested with praise. You will be tested with influence. You will be tested with momentum. And these tests are quieter but more dangerous than the ones you survived before, because hardship teaches you dependence. Comfort tests your discipline. Pain builds your prayer life. Ease tests your humility. Stay anchored, stay submitted, stay listening, stay teachable, stay disciplined, stay grateful, stay honest, stay still when needed, move when instructed, rest without guilt, work without anxiety, speak without fear, be silent without insecurity, lead without ego, serve without resentment, receive without aim, give without attachment. You're not here to impress anyone. You're here to impact what God assigned. You're not here to compete. You're here to complete. You're not here to be seen. You're here to see clearly. You're not here to rush. You're here to finish well. There will be moments when you feel the urge to accelerate because things are finally working. Don't outrun your wisdom. Speed without discernment creates damage that takes years to repair. You learn patience the hard way. Don't abandon it now that things are moving. Patience isn't passive, it's controlled power, it's strength under command, it's authority restrained by wisdom. You will also feel moments when fear tries to resurface, not because you're weak, but because you're visible now. Fear doesn't disappear when you grow, it just changes its argument. Before it said, you can't. Now it will say, what if you lose it? Don't negotiate with that voice. You didn't come this far by listening to fear, you came this far by listening to instruction. Remember how many times you were certain it was over, and yet you're still here. Remember how many times you thought you missed it, and yet alignment found you again. Remember how many times you felt unqualified, and yet provision showed up anyway. That wasn't accidental. That was evidence. Evidence that you're carried, guided, protected, sustained. You are not walking into uncertainty. You are walking into responsibility. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into stewardship. You are not entering confusion. You are entering clarity that requires maturity to maintain. What's being trusted to you now can bless many or be mishandled by one careless decision. That's why awareness matters. That's why integrity matters. That's why alignment matters more than ambition. You may notice fewer people around you now. That's not loss. That's clarity. Crowds thin when assignments specialize. This level requires precision, not noise. It requires quality in OT quantity. It requires alignment, not agreement. Some people were with you for survival. Fewer are meant to walk with you in stewardship. Don't resent that. Honor the season. Honor what was. Bless what can't follow. You're not abandoning anyone. You're obeying direction. And obedience sometimes feels lonely until you realize it's peaceful. Silence will become your ally again, not because you're hiding, but because you're listening at a deeper frequency. You will sense when to speak and when not to. You will sense when to move and when to wait. You will sense when to say yes and when to decline opportunities that look good but don't align. Alignment is more important than expansion. Expansion without alignment creates instability. Stability is what allows influence to remain. This is also where gratitude becomes your armor. Never forget where you came from. Never forget the night you cried quietly. Never forget the days you felt invisible. Never forget the prayers you whispered with. Shaking hands, gratitude keeps pride from poisoning purpose. Humility keeps power clean. You don't need to announce what you're becoming. It will be felt. You don't need to declare your authority. It will be recognized. You don't need to defend your pace. It's customized. You don't need to justify your boundaries. They're protective, not punitive. And yes, there will be people who misunderstand you now. Let them. Misunderstanding is often the price of transformation. You cannot explain evolution to someone committed to your old version. Let growth speak. Let fruit speak. Let consistency speak. Let time speak. You're entering a phase where obedience will feel quieter but heavier, where instructions will feel subtler but weightier, where distractions will be more refined, where temptations will be dressed as opportunities, where compromise will look harmless but cost much. Stay alert, stay prayerful, stay rooted. This isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about correction needed. It's about humility when adjusted. It's about responsiveness when redirected. You don't have to fear mistakes. You just have to remain teachable. You are not late to this moment. You arrived exactly when your inner structure could sustain what's coming. Earlier would have crushed you. Later would have delayed impact. Timing was mercy, not denial. And even now, as things begin to shift externally, the most important work continues internally. Guard your inner life. Guard your thought patterns. Guard your motives. Guard your rest. Guard your joy. Burnout doesn't come from doing too much. It comes from doing things misaligned with your assignment. You don't need to chase relevance. You carry substance. You don't need to chase validation. You carry confirmation. You don't need to chase approval. You carry alignment. You don't need to chase success. You carry obedience, and obedience still opens doors that talent cannot. Obedience still sustains what charisma cannot. Obedience still protects what ambition cannot. Obedience still multiplies what strategy cannot. You are walking into rooms where your presence will shift atmospheres without effort. Not because you're trying, but because you're aligned. You are stepping into conversations where clarity will flow effortlessly. You are stepping into moments where wisdom will rise without rehearsal. That's not performance. That's preparation meeting purpose. Stay grounded when people praise you. Stay anchored when people criticize you. Neither defines you. Both are temporary. What matters is that you remain aligned with the one who said, finally. Not as applause, but as affirmation that what he entrusted to you was carried with integrity. You are still becoming, still unfolding, still refining, still growing, still learning, still stretching, still expanding. This is not the peak. This is the platform from which further depth will be required. Growth doesn't stop when assignment begins. It deepens. And as you continue forward, there will be moments when you realize just how close you came to quitting something that was about to open. Let that awareness fuel your perseverance moving forward. You don't stop now. You don't slow down from fear. You don't retreat from responsibility. You don't shrink from visibility. You don't abandon discipline now that results are visible. You walk steadily. You listen carefully. You move intentionally. You rest wisely. You speak truthfully. You serve faithfully. You remain aligned as the path continues unfolding, as the assignment keeps revealing new layers, as the weight teaches you new strength, as the responsibility sharpens your discernment, as the calling continues to expand in ways that will require even deeper trust, even stronger grounding, even quieter confidence, even more deliberate obedience, even greater surrender, even clearer listening, even firmer boundaries, even softer humility, even sharper focus, even steadier pace, even more awareness of how every step you take from here forward is no longer just about you, but about what flows through you, what changes because of you, what heals through you, what shifts around you, what opens behind you, what follows after you, what continues long after this moment, as you keep walking into the unfolding, unfinished, still progressing, still revealing, still expanding, assignment that has not reached its end, but has only just begun to express itself through your continued obedience, movement, alignment, and forward motion. And as you keep moving forward, you will realize that the greatest challenge is no longer surviving what tried to break you, but stewarding what now trusts you. Survival sharpened your instincts. Stewardship will sharpen your wisdom. Survival taught you how to endure storms. Stewardship will teach you how to build in clear weather. Survival taught you how to pray for escape. Stewardship will teach you how to pray for guidance. The language changes when the season changes, and you are wise enough now to recognize that what worked before may not work the same way here. You will begin to sense a deeper accountability in small decisions. Choices that once felt insignificant will now feel weighty. Words will matter more. Timing will matter more. Tone will matter more. Intentions will matter more. This is not pressure meant to overwhelm you. It's awareness meant to mature you. When God increases influence, he refines sensitivity. When he increases authority, he sharpens discernment. When he expands reach, he deepens responsibility. You will notice that distractions try to enter quietly. No. T loudly. They won't look like obvious threats. They'll look like reasonable options. They'll look like shortcuts. They'll look like just this once. They'll look like things you've earned. That's where your growth will show. You've already proven you can resist pain. Now you're learning how to resist entitlement. You've already proven you can wait. Now you're learning how to choose wisely when you don't have to. There will be moments when nostalgia tries to pull you backward, reminding you of simpler days, quieter seasons, times when expectations were lower. Don't romanticize survival. It shaped you, but it is not your destination. You didn't endure all of that to live beneath what you've been prepared for. Honor the past, but don't dwell there. The past trained you. The future needs you present. You will also encounter people who suddenly see you differently. Some will admire you. Some will study you. Some will test you. Some will try to attach themselves to your momentum. Some will question your changes. Some will feel uncomfortable around your clarity. Let discernment guide you, not emotion. You don't owe access to everyone who notices you now. Proximity should be earned through alignment, not curiosity. You are allowed to say no without explanation. You're allowed to pause without guilt. You're allowed to protect your energy without apology. Boundaries are not barriers, they are gates. They don't keep good things out, they keep sacred things safe. And what you carry now is sacred. There will be days when progress feels invisible again, but it won't be regression, it will be rooting. Trees grow downward before they grow upward. Expansion beneath the surface always precedes visible fruit. Don't confuse quiet growth with stagnation. Don't confuse rest with retreat. Don't confuse patience with passivity. You are moving even when it feels still. Your relationship with time will change. You will stop rushing outcomes and start honoring processes. You will stop chasing moments and start building rhythms. You will stop measuring success by speed and start measuring it by sustainability. This shift will protect you from burnout and preserve your joy. Joy matters more now than ever. Not excitement, not adrenaline. Joy. Deep, steady joy. Joy rooted in purpose, not applause. Joy anchored in alignment, not outcomes. Joy that remains even when things don't go as planned. This kind of joy is strength. It keeps your spirit resilient and your perspective clear. There will be moments when you're tempted to compare your journey to others who seem further ahead or more celebrated. Resist that trap. Comparison will always distort perception. You don't see their full story, and they don't carry your assignment. What looks like delay in your life may be protection. What looks like acceleration in theirs may be pressure they aren't prepared to sustain. Stay in your lane. It was designed specifically for you. Your confidence will grow quieter. You won't feel the end. Need to announce every step. You won't need constant reassurance. You'll trust your inner compass more. That's maturity. Loud confidence seeks validation. Quiet confidence rests in alignment. You will also learn that rest is not a reward for finishing everything. It's a requirement for continuing well. Honor your limits. Listen to your body. Protect your mind. Nourish your spirit. You are not a machine. You are a vessel. And vessels require care to remain useful. There will be seasons where the instruction is simply to maintain consistency, maintain integrity, maintain discipline, maintain humility. Maintenance doesn't feel exciting, but it preserves momentum. Many people lose ground not because they fail dramatically, but because they neglect maintenance. You will not make that mistake. You've already learned how to start strong. Now you're learning how to stay strong. Endurance is not glamorous, but it is rare. And rarity is what sets you apart. Your voice will carry weight. Now, even when you speak casually, be mindful of that. Words can heal or harm faster at this level. Choose clarity over cleverness. Choose truth over impressing. Choose substance over noise. You don't need to say much to make impact anymore. You will notice your intuition sharpening. Trust it, but keep it grounded. Discernment grows best when paired with humility. Stay open to correction. Stay open to learning. Growth never graduates. There will be moments when things don't go according to plan, even now. Don't panic. Detours don't mean disobedience. Sometimes they mean refinement. Sometimes they mean redirection. Sometimes they mean protection you won't understand until later. Stay flexible. Rigidity breaks under pressure. Adaptability survives. You will begin to understand that influence is not about being everywhere. It's about being effective where you are. Depth matters more than reach. Impact matters more than exposure. Faithfulness matters more than fame. You don't need to fear making the wrong move. You are no longer walking blindly. You've been trained to listen. You've been trained to wait. You've been trained to sense when something is off. Trust what's been built inside you. There will be days when you feel the weight again, heavier than expected. Don't interpret that as failure. Weight often signals growth. Muscles ache when they're strengthening. Pressure forms diamonds. Responsibility refines character. You are capable of more than you think, and you don't carry it alone. When doubt whispers, remind yourself of what you've already survived. When fear resurfaces, remember how many times provision met you unexpectedly. When fatigue sets in, allow yourself rest without shame. You don't need to prove your strength anymore. It's evident. You are allowed to enjoy this season. Enjoy clarity. Enjoy peace. Enjoy progress. Enjoy alignment. Enjoy moments of ease without waiting for something to go wrong. Peace is not a warning sign. Sometimes it's confirmation. There will be moments of celebration ahead, but they won't distract you. They'll fuel you. Gratitude will keep you grounded. Reflection will keep you focused. Purpose will keep you moving. As you continue, you'll realize that leadership at this level is more about listening than speaking, more about serving than being seen, more about consistency than charisma. You are not here to dominate. You are here to steward. You will notice that the more aligned you stay, the less resistance feels personal. Opposition will feel like confirmation rather than discouragement. You'll understand that not every closed door is rejection. Some are simply not part of your assignment. Your pace may frustrate others. Let it. You are not here to meet their expectations. You are here to fulfill your calling. Slow obedience still outruns rush disobedience every time. You will also find that solitude remains important. Not isolation born from fear, but intentional solitude born from clarity. Time alone will sharpen you, not weaken you. Don't abandon it just because life gets busier. You are becoming someone who can hold success without losing yourself, influence without ego, responsibility without resentment, visibility without compromise. That balance is rare, and it is being formed deliberately within you. The future will ask more of you, but it will also meet you with provision, wisdom, and strength at each step. You are not being sent ahead unprepared. You are being led. And as you keep walking, you'll sense that this journey no longer feels like striving. It feels like alignment unfolding. It feels like steps landing where they're supposed to. It feels like clarity replacing confusion. It feels like purpose breathing through your daily decisions. It feels like movement without panic, growth without chaos, expansion without loss of self. You are not chasing something distant. You are walking into what has been quietly unfolding all along, revealing itself layer by layer, season by season, step by step, as you continue forward without rushing the process, without abandoning the discipline that carried you here, without losing the humility that keeps you grounded, without forgetting the lessons that shaped you, without disconnecting from the source that guides you, remaining present, attentive, aligned, and willing as the assignment continues to reveal itself beyond this moment. Beyond what you can currently see, beyond what words can fully explain, unfolding in real time through your obedience, your awareness, your steadiness, your courage, your patience, your discernment, your restraint, your faith, your consistency, your willingness to keep moving even when the path stretches further ahead, even when the responsibility grows heavier, even when the vision expands wider, because you were never meant to stop here. You were meant to continue walking forward into what is still being revealed, still being shaped, still being activated, still being interest, still being lived out through every step you take from here onward. This is the moment where you stop questioning whether you were strong enough, ready enough, worthy enough, or capable enough, because the journey already answered that for you. You wouldn't be standing here with this clarity, this weight, this authority, this peace if you hadn't been built for it. Every step that felt delayed was deliberate. Every season that felt unfair was instructional. Every battle that felt excessive was necessary. Nothing about your path was random, and nothing about your future is fragile. What God completed in you cannot be undone by opinions, setbacks, resistance, or fear. So walk forward without shrinking. Walk forward without apologizing for your growth. Walk forward without dragging the past behind you. Walk forward knowing that the same voice that guided you through silence will guide you through visibility. The same presence that sustained you in isolation will sustain you in influence. And the same power that strengthened you in weakness will now flow through you in purpose. You are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into fulfillment. Not because everything will be easy, but because everything will be meaningful. And when God said finally, it wasn't the end of your story. It was the confirmation that you finished what others couldn't, carried what others dropped, endured what others avoided, and remained aligned when quitting would have been understandable. This is not the season where you look back with regret. This is the season where you move forward with responsibility, courage, and quiet confidence, knowing that what began in obedience will continue in authority. What was formed in pressure will now function in purpose. And what was prepared in secret will now move openly, steadily, and powerfully through your life as you continue walking into everything that was always meant for you.